Here's the opening range recap for Thursday, September 15th. Looking at the Dow first, Dow had a loss on the pivot 1 for both 25 and 50, making pivot 2 here a most safe entry for the 25%, which was a win. Needed to get down to 07, I think it got to 05 or 04. So that was a win worth 15 points. The 50% was a loss, so that makes 2 losses for the 50% in a row, making this a most safe entry on the 50%, which was worth 30 points on the day. A couple other things to mention. The opening range was fairly small versus what the market's been doing, but good day for the Dow. 15-point winner on the 25 and a 30-point winner on the 50, so 45 points on the Dow. ES, first trade or first pivot hit was a win. This was actually a good one in the sense that you could have bought the 50% retracement. It got up to the pivot again and then came back down and would have stopped you out, but you can see it came back up to the pivot again. But a nice trade on that. So anyway, first pivot hit was a win for both. Second pivot hit was a loss for both. The 25% missed it by a tick. If it would have hit it, then trade 3 here or pivot 3 here would not be a trade. Again, we go based on official, but we put a little asterisk by it and all that stuff. So officially, this is a most safe entry. And it was a win worth 1.75 points. The orange line here is the opening range for today. So only 7-point opening range compared to yesterday was, 15, almost 16. So when you have days like that and then volatility stays up, you can have problems, which we'll get to in the NQ. This one missed, did not get it. But so here is the 1.75 points on the S&P for pivot number 3. Then market sold off right around this time, especially when there's no scheduled news. You'll see the markets turn sometimes, and they can turn really large, and in this case they did, to the downside. But when you start getting pivots on days like that where it's a huge turn, we're back under the opening range now. You got to watch out for those particular days. They can just continue to go down, especially to the 11:10, 11:20 area sometimes where the markets turn. But anyway, this next pivot was a win for the 25, a loss for the 50, and then this was a win for both the 25 and the 50. So as far as most safe entries go, just this one off the 25%, which was worth 1.75 points. All right, now to go to the frustrating one of the day. I'm actually on a 5-second chart for the NQ because I'll need to show you on a 5-second, just because the opening range was so small today. Only 23.5 points compared to yesterday, 49, so less than half. And again, you have same type of volatility, etc. And this will be clear about that 10-20 area and the market just tanking and so forth. But anyway, so this is pivot 1 right here was a loss for both 25 and the 50. Pivot 2 was right here. Needed to come up to 80, 75, and got up to 82 or so. Anyway, so this was a 25% most safe entry and was a win worth 5.75 points. Pivot 3 here was a win for both the 25 and the 50. And then pivot 4, which is going to be about here, was a win for the 25 and the 50. All right, now we get down to the nitty gritty. So you can see, starts right around 1019 or so and starts going lower and lower and lower. But when you see days like this, small opening ranges, and also the market beginning to move significantly in one direction, in this case, the down direction, and it's not news based. So, in other words, 10:20, there's no real news. It just started going down and continuing going down and so forth. There was no scheduled news. There might have been news, but there was no scheduled news. So at 10:49 is again, my deadline is 11 o'clock. Market has gone down fairly significantly in that time, 150 points or 200 points, whatever it was, in the last 50 minutes or so. So this is pivot hit number 5. So we're now on the downside of the opening range. And this is a win for the 25. It is a loss for the 50. It is a win for the 25. So nothing here. This trade or pivot hit number 6 is a loss for both the 25 and the 50, making this 7th pivot hit right here at 10:52. So this is 10:49. This is 10:50. This is 10:52. This is both a 25% most safe entry and a 50% most safe entry. It got the 25%. 25% was a win. It got up to 50 and a half. It needed to get to 51 and a half. I think it was 51 and a half. But anyways, it missed it by 4 ticks. So it needed four more ticks, 1 point, in order to get a 50% win. However you want to slice it, as I've talked about before on these where they just miss it, you may want to put your stop back to break even. And in this case, you broke even. The reason for that is if you're going to use the streaks on the 50%, you're going to have to be buying an additional contract at the next pivot hit. And your goal is just to break even, right? So you got to take all this heat all the way down, in this case, 30 plus points from the high, just to add one, just to get to back to break even. So, which is, if you would have just sold here at break even, you would have not had to deal with all the heartache. But anyway, so this was worth the 25% was a win here, so worth 5.75 points as well. So we've had 2 25% most safe entries so far today, and both of them were wins. So that's worth 11.5 points. So going back to the 50%, so we're in this 50%, just misses it by 4 ticks. You didn't have a stop at break even, so you enter one additional contract here. It goes up a bit, misses it by 2 points here, so 8 ticks. And then still does not hit its pivot. Comes all the way back up to 27. You needed 28. So again, same deal. Missed it by 4 ticks right here. This one misses it by 4 ticks as well. You got 27, and not only that, it did it again over here. So you missed it again by 4 ticks. Again, if you would have exited at 28, you're basically at break even for the 2 contracts that you entered. Didn't get to 28, got to 27 a couple of times. So then you would add additional contracts down here, and it needs to come up to 04 here, and you got the win. So a bunch of losses in the most safe for the 50. Again, depending on how you sliced it, if you did safe, if you just did the way that the system's laid out, which is what I do, or talk about in this video. So that's the way it's going to go into the record books. But those are the things to watch for. So this actual entry here is after 11. It's 11:10 or 11:09, but you would still trade it because of the fact that you're still in the trade and you need it in order to continue forward. So, so anyway, it would have been a win on the 3rd entry for the 50%. however you wanted to slice that. So a lot to cover. Sorry for the long video. Profitable day on the S&P and the Dow. Profitable day on the 25% NQ, and then break even or some losses on the 50% NQ, just depending on how you traded it. Have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow.